such are the wonders of technology that you never know who's listening. So today is a lovely, it's promising to be a nice day again. I'm looking out of the window. I can actually have the view of the sky, and we're here on an industrial estate, so all I can see is shutter doors basically. But I know that it's going to be a nice day again, and I hope it's nice where you are as well. It just puts a little bit of spring into our step when spring is just round the corner. And what would spring be without a little spring gnome who's probably waking up from his winter sleep, having a big yawn, his hat still over his eyes. He can't quite cope with the bright sunshine yet, but he's ready to come out, and maybe he's even got a nice new hat, or maybe it's a bit grubby from the winter. But in any case, I will show you how to make one of these. They're very simple gnomes, and I can show them a little bit closer. If you just bear with me, I will show you. There they are. Big noses, big nostrils, and they're all decent. They're all dressed under their beard as well. So, just see who else is here. 6 people are watching, which is quite nice. So do come and join us. We are on, I don't know how many days of lockdown, but I realized that our dogs have been on lockdown for much longer, because when we moved last year in August, we haven't actually taken them anywhere in the car, and they seem to be quite happy about that. So hopefully we can all be like the dogs, not minding, as long as we're with the people that we love, as long as we get fed, as long as we get walked, and we should be fine then. So Sophie has just said she can't see it, but everybody else can see me. So you need to refresh the screen, apparently. Okay. That's what I had to do. So yes, hopefully Sophie will get. Oh, love your friend on the chair. Yes, Rachel, he is my friend. There you go, Felix Big Noodle. You can be making a big one once you've learned how to make a small one. So maybe we should get cracking on how to make a lovely gnome. And today I'm going to try and pay a little bit more attention to some of the comments. But of course, if you're watching this later on, when it's not live anymore, then you won't see the comments. So when I'm referring to them, don't feel confused. It's basically that they get deleted when it's no longer a live stream. And now I've got a cough, which makes me really very self-conscious. And I'm going to have a drink of my tea. Excuse me. Oh. If you're not part of our Everyone a Maker Facebook group, then do come and have a look. It's a group where everybody can share their makers' makes and share ideas, the inspiration that we have given you, and most of all, show us what you have made with our wool and materials, ideas, books, and so on and so forth. So that was a good clue. So let's start with the gnome. I'm using here my all-time favorite core wool, which is the Lanolin Rich core wool that we sell. But if you've got Cheap and Cheerful or any kind of other core wool, as long as they're nice bats. Sorry, I've got a bit of plastic stuck to them, and now it's stuck to me. I must be very electrically charged. Okay. And a bat, just to remind those of you who don't know what a bat is basically the way that the wool has been processed. So it's been carded into a massive big sheet, almost like a blanket. That's quite lofty, and it's very squishy and soft, and it just is amazing for 3D shaping, because you have got a lot of scope to make this nice and bouncy and make it round without having to stub it too much. So you can see, just me rolling it up, I can almost sculpt the shape with my hands. Contrary to that is a wool top. This is actually not a wool, this is a mohair, and I will show you later how you can even make little curls if you haven't got curls for your gnome to hand. So let's start with the Lanolin Rich. What's nice about the Lanolin Rich is that it has a little bit of the sheep grease left in it. It's completely clean, it has been washed, so it's not as if you suddenly have dirty wool to hand. It is really quite clean, and the fibre stick together as you're rolling it up. And so I'm going to do that now. Just bear with me for a second. anybody had hay fever yet? I seem to have had that. It's not very pleasant. Just when you think, okay, I've got through this period so far unscathed, and then you start sneezing and you get itchy eyes, and then it goes again a few hours later and you think, oh no, I completely forgot about hay fever. But anyway, I definitely suffer from it, and it seems to have started. Right, yes, no, Rachel, it's not corona. I'm definitely, sorry, I'm coughing. I've actually, I don't know if anybody else has got this too, I've actually developed a nervous cough. So every time I feel slightly nervous, I need to cough. Basically, I think it's because you're not meant to cough, then you start coughing. So let's get on with this, and then that will distract me as well. I'm winding this wool up. If you've seen any of our other videos or live streams, when we do 3D shaping, this is usually how we start. And I'm wrapping it up so that it becomes a nice parcel, and I'm teasing the fibers out so that I can pull them all the way around the shape. And so when I end up just with these wispy bits at the end, if I let go of it, it will just pop open. But with these wispy ends, I'm going to use my felting needle, and I stab this wispy fiber, these wispy fibers into the shape, just so that they close up the shape. And now I can actually let go of it. So I've got a nice little round parcel here. It doesn't look too nice at the ends, but I'm not too worried about it, especially with the gnome, because all of this will be completely covered up. Now I've got to decide what is going to be the base and what's going to be the top. And I think because this looks already pretty flat, I'm going to make it even flatter. So I'm going to stab into it in a disc shape. And somebody's asking, Chanda stuff, is it possible to replay the chat if you watch later? So you cannot replay the chat. But you can replay everything that is that you can see on the video, and everything that I'm saying you will hear. You just won't be seeing the chat. That's just what YouTube have decided, so that I think there's a reason for it, and I was explained it, but I've already forgotten. Hi Emma. Emma is our lovely graphic designer, and she's working from home, so I hope you're... Oh, thank you. Yes, my haircut. Oh, I've got to show this now. So yesterday I cut my own hair. I've done it for years, so it's no different to me when people are freaking out they can't go to the hairdresser. I thought, never occurred to me. So yes, I do cut my own hair. It's quite easy. If you've got a bit of a curl in it, you can just take the scissors to it and chop it all off, and not too much damage is visible. So unless people have been incredibly polite, and I always look like a complete moron, they just haven't told me, but I don't really care. Back to the gnome. So I've made this pretty flat here at the base now, and I'm going to stab this a little bit more, and now I can turn it upside down, and he sits quite comfortably on his bum. And then we're going to make the top round, so I'm just teasing a few fibers out and lay them over the top. And if you're stabbing along, then that's what you'll be doing next as well. Sometimes if you've got bitty core wool, which you can get, so you've got like lots of pieces that are all not sort of connected, like the one that I've just used. If that is the case, I'm just going to pretend this is all bitty, got all bits and pieces, and it's not together. All you do is you just broaden out the pieces and make them flat, and then you lay them on top of each other, so you're creating but a nice new dense piece of wool. Put the smaller ones right on the top, and then you can roll it up as before. Don't try and extend the wool by putting it like this, so you're making an extension, because every time you roll you get to the end, and then it sort of comes apart again. So make sure that you've got the biggest part at the bottom, have it nice and flat, and then put the smaller parts, tease them out, lay them on top. And that will also help you to have a nice thick wadded piece of wool that you can then roll up, and you don't you just the little pieces are just hidden inside. So that's quite an easy thing to do. So without more stabbing, because I'm not going to make this a very solid piece. Remember, those live streams are about really simple projects, ones that you can probably do if you're already into needle felting. You might have all the stuff already at home. All you need is wool and a needle, and away you go. We are not ever stopping you to pop onto our website and stock up on anything new that you might want. We're fully operational. We do have some of our staff working from home because there is no need for them to be here, but the people who are packing, they of course have to be in, but we are sort of down to half the numbers that we normally are, so we've spread out quite nicely, and we've done everything that we've been advised to do to keep our staff safe. And I can assure you our workshop constantly smells of Dettol and bleach at the moment, so if nothing else, the air is clean. So here we go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give my gnome a nose, and this is our world famous flesh pink. It's so world famous that I think we've even fooled Facebook at some point, where they took a post down because there was too much nudity apparently on show. But of course it was all needle felted and it wasn't even rude. But it is a very, very natural flesh color. If you look sort of at my hand, I could you can see that yeah, it's not, I don't want to call it peachy because it's definitely not peachy. It's just a very natural flesh pink color. And again, like with the main shape, I'm rolling this into a nose. Ooh, somebody's missed the first 10 minutes. So what might you have missed? I don't think you've missed very much, other than that we're making a gnome, and all I've done is I've rolled the core wool into this shape, and I am doing exactly what I did in a larger scale now on a smaller scale. So I'm rolling the wool up, tease the fibers out exactly how I've done the bigger shape, and then I'm going to stab in the wispy ends so I can let go of this. Remember, you are using a sharp needle, so if you've got children who will want to have a go at this, make sure that they are supervised and that they're not too young. We say 10 years up, but I'll be honest, my children probably started from the age of 6. It's just, it can be quite scary if you stab yourself. It's scary if you stab yourself, but if you're a child or not. So those who are already needle felting will probably second that it definitely hurts if you stab yourself, but it's just one of those hazards of the craft, and you just carry on and persevere, because it's just so nice to do this. It's a very satisfying feeling, stabbing the needle into the wool. It's yeah, it just feels very, I don't know, very therapeutic, very soothing, very calming, and I love doing it. So I've if you've noticed it, I've left actually one end slightly unfelted. So I've got a round felted piece here, and then wispy ends at the other end, and these are the ones that are now going to be fastened into the head of the gnome. Yes, I know what you're all thinking. These little creatures, sometimes they go through terrible stages of very undefinable I don't know, meaning and objects, but this is just what we need to do. It's very special to see a gnome being born, so please don't laugh. Of course you can. And I'm stabbing the pink fibers into the main shape. I don't think Sophie has managed to join us, because she's definitely not commenting, and she normally is. Yeah, Rachel, the hay fever can be quite, but I think I have hay fever than corona, so I'll put up with that. Oh, and there's Pauline. Hi Pauline, I know you miss our stab-alongs, our live stab-alongs at in our workshop, but as soon as we're through with all of this, you of course must all come back and come and join us at our workshop here in Nailsworth. We do have regular fortnightly needle felting groups for those who are local to us, and even those who are not so local, and they still come. But of course all of that is on hold. We are completely closed now as a shop, and it's only access to our essential staff that cannot work from home, so they're all here, and that's it basically. So you can see that I've attached the nose sort of almost halfway from the top to the base, and if you want to give your gnome some nostrils, they can go into the base here, and I'll show you that how. If you want to reduce the size of the nose, then just keep stabbing into the pink shape, and you could stab lengthways, because that will pull the fibers in along the side, and then it will make the nose shorter. So just remember, when you stab the needle, because it's got notches at the end of the tip of the needle, when you stab the needle in, I don't know if you probably can't see this very well at all, but anyway, this is the end of the needle, and if I run my fingernail along it, it sort of gets stuck a bit, and that's because it gets caught in the notches that are in the needle. and as you stab the needle in, it pulls the fiber inward. I'm actually using one of our favorite needles, which is a cross star. So a cross star twisted, so the shape of the tip of the needle looks, if you take a cross section, looks like a cross, like that, and then it's also twisted, and then it's got the notches in there, and it's a very efficient needle. We absolutely love it, especially all the twisted needles. We use them all the time. But if you've only got a box standard normal needle and it works, then just be happy that you've got it and it's absolutely fine. So I've reduced the size of the nose a little bit, and now I'm going to give him nostrils. Hi Anne, it's nice to for you to meet us. I think are you the lady who lives in Norway? I'm not entirely sure, but you're maybe I'm getting you completely muddled up. Hi Diane, brilliant to have you here. Hi Alex, nice to see you. Well, not see you, but nice to hear from you as well. And hi Pam, how are you? Yes, I know you unfortunately have been caught out with that nasty bug, and I hear that you're okay, not too bad. So wishing you all the best, and thank you so much for all the support you give us. And if you don't know Pam Duthie, you must go and pop over onto her channel on YouTube and watch her live videos and live streams, because she does a lot of advice on how to use Etsy. And if you are an Etsy seller, I'm sure you can pick up all kinds of things. But best of all, she tests a lot of products, needle felting products and kits and other things. So if you ever want to catch up on any of this, and you might have a lot of time at hand, then do go over and have a look on her YouTube channel. She's also got a Facebook presence, and yeah, just generally a really lovely lady. So Pam, I hope you're all right. Nice to see you here. Yes, I know it looks a little bit rude, but we'll hurry up so we don't get into trouble with YouTube. I'm just putting a nostril in there now by just concentrating the stabbing of the needle in one spot, and then I do it on the other side. So he's got two, and it happens quite quickly if you go relatively fast with your needle in and out in a straight line. Remember that as well. So if you do all of that, you have less a chance of breaking the needle. It's sometimes quite tempting for people to remember other skills they've got, like sewing or knitting or even crocheting. So forget all of that. Stabbing is what you do with this needle, which is why it's one of the simplest crafts to learn, and it has this very, very therapeutic and yeah, soothing effect. So I've made two nostrils. They look a bit piggyish, but that's fine. There's lots to add still. So now I'm going to dress my gnome only around the base. Now we do have a kit that makes a gnome of that kind, and he's got legs and arms, but I'm not going to do that today because that's a little bit more complicated and might take a little bit longer. But if you want to have a go at making one like this, then this is the kit. It looks like that. I'm just going to go on a bigger screen so you can see it better. Hello, in case you haven't seen me yet. This is it. It makes two, and you can make them with arms and legs, and we sell these on our website. So hop over there if you want to have a go at that, but otherwise definitely have a go at the simpler version of this, and which is just as cute and just as successful. Maybe you make a little friend for somebody who needs a friend right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of all of this we actually do start talking to our needle felted creatures. In fact, Sophie and I have done this for years, so which is why we give them names. So let's dress this gnome. I've got a choice of two colors, and I've just picked them randomly this morning. Just I don't know about any of you, but colors are really important in my life. So I've got this really lovely green. I don't know if you can see it. It's our cotton spot, and it has got these really lovely colourful cotton spots in it. Hence it's we call it actually rainbow drops, because it looks like little rainbow drops have fallen into the green. And we've also got our dragon mix. Now the dragon mix is very temperamental. Sometimes it's quite orange, sometimes it's blue and red, but I love it because it's just got that really vibrant colour running through it, and like it's a bit of a surprise. You never quite know what you get. So for that reason I love it. But I'm going to give the gnome this dragon colored lower body, and all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to dress him. Oh, Sophie's here. I'm on now and have posted the working link to everyone, a maker and NF UK. So NF UK, if you don't know it, is Needle Felting UK. Sarah Brown, who's running the group, she set the group up. She does a brilliant job. There's lots of competitions going on at the moment, so you can join in and win yourself something. I think the online community plays such a crucial role. If I'm on a different community as well in terms of keeping fit, because I can't go to my normal gym, and it's such a lifesaver to hear from people and see them work out. And I think the crafting is exactly the same. So if you are part of groups like that, I'm sure it will brighten your day, and that's what all we're trying to do at the moment. Find that happy place where you can sit and just be content with what's on offer at the moment, and so many restrictions and so many things that you normally do, and the routine is changed. I don't know how many of you are watching who've got children at home. I've got 4 at home, and we're sort of desperately trying to ignore that at some point there might be a fatigue of being at home, and trying to preempty and trying to plan projects, trying to think of activities of what they could be doing. And crafting is just one of the obvious ones. And whilst the weather is nice, of course, it's you know, they can spend time outside if you've got that opportunity. If not, it must be even worse. I can't imagine what that must be like. While I'm talking, I've given the gnome his dress, so I've literally just laid the wool over the bottom, stabbed it on, and now he's a decent gnome. There you go. And now I'm going to give him his beard, because the hat is going to be the last thing. The hat is going to cover everything else that we don't want to see. And to give him a beard, I've actually got these lush curls here. They're really beautiful, and I feel very happy that I've got these. But if you don't have the luxury of having any curls at hand, or maybe you don't want them to be curly, then you can use straight hair as well. So imagine a gnome with straight, looks a bit more like a wizard. That's absolutely fine to use a straight top. And so for this I would use a top, because then it looks more like a long beard, whether it's straight or curly. If you haven't got curls and you want curls, but you've got tops, or in this case I've got a mohair, alpaca tops work fine, any merino tops work fine. You can make your own. And to do this, I will show you how to do this. We have got a free tutorial already on our website that you can follow on how to make curls. So if you missed this one and you want to see it again, where we are only talking about how to make curls, then pop over onto our website, look at www.themakers.co.uk, and under the free tutorial it shows you how to make these curls. But I will just give you a quick demonstration. So you've got your wool. I'm teasing it out a little bit more. I want to get as much length out of it as I possibly can. Then I'll put a slip knot onto it, as if you know how to crochet, then this is all you need to do, is need to make a chain. And I've just torn this, so I've got to like extend it a bit again. And then all you do is you literally crochet the wool, in this case it's hair, mohair, into a strand. So don't worry too much if it doesn't look so neat, as long as you manage to keep that chain going, which I'm doing here. And of course it will be a lot shorter than it was before, but the curls will still be the length of the strand that you originally started out with. And important is that when you get to the end, don't pull the last bit out, leave it as a loop. So, and then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to make this really, really wet. So put it under the running water, give it a good old squeeze all the water out, and then leave it to dry. And you might want to put this on the radiator. I'm always really impatient with these kind of things, so I tend to do that. However, if you cannot crochet, don't panic, because you can also use a strong wire, or if you've got a wooden knitting needle or anything that's not too slippery, you can wrap the wool around this as well, which I will show you here now as well. So I'm just getting another strand of this long mohair. So the fiddliest bit is to get the fibers fastened, but once you've got them on, you're then going to wrap them around, but you're not going to let go of while you're wrapping them. So keep the fiber in your hand while you're wrapping it. Make sure it doesn't just slide along the stick or whatever you're using. The thinner the stick, the tighter the curls, obviously. So you keep going, keep that wool running through your fingers, but don't let go of it. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the wool becomes like a strand. So it's the complete opposite of the technique that you would be using if you were to use a wire armature to make an animal, perhaps, and how you would put the wool layers on there. This is the complete opposite. You are actually wanting the wool to look like it's a string, and then when you get to the very end, just go over, you have to really secure it somehow, so just go over the wound up bit already so that it is finally completely on there and doesn't budge. And then you do the same thing, run it under cold water or hot water or warm water, whatever. In any case, make it nice and wet, and then you put it away to dry. Like I said, put it on the radiator or anything like this. And I have made one earlier, which I'm now going to grab from the radiator, so I just have to get up and reach over to the radiator. So just bear with me, I haven't gone, I'm still here. There we are. So there's the piece that I did earlier. This is the piece that I've just done that needs to be made wet still. This one I think is pretty dry. It might still be a little bit damp, but I'm going to undo it now. So I've left that loop in the top, can you see it there? Now I'm going to undo it. So you have to make sure that it's really, really dry. I can feel this is still a little bit damp, so ideally it would have been to leave it to dry a little bit longer to set the curls absolutely perfectly, but I didn't think of making curls until last minute. So there you go. I've made some lovely curls, and then you can make them a little bit more voluptuous by spreading them out. I have used I think a 1/2 millimeter crochet hook to do this, and I promise you, because I can still feel that they're a little bit damp, once they're absolutely bone dry, the curls will be a lot stronger and a lot tighter. I haven't made one to prepare with a stick, but the difference in the appearance of the curl is that these are a little bit more all over the place, and the others are more like now what are they called, corkscrew curls. So they're like really just literally like angel curl. But that's a way of how to make curls if you haven't got any. Now luckily I've got the ones that the sheep has made for me, and I'm going to use those. Let's just have a look at some of the comments we've had here. Sophie's moved house, which is very lucky that she did it when she has done it, because today they said to put it off. It's been incredibly hard, I know, for Sophie, because of course there's just her and her partner, so no outsiders were allowed in, and they had to haul everything by themselves. And so yeah, that's definitely good to do it. Ringlets, yeah, that's it, thank you, ringlets, that was the word I was looking for. Excellent, so somebody's already got the gnome kit ready for later, so that's really lovely. So let's give this gnome a decent beard. And if you have a limited amount of curls, then because they're quite precious, these curls, then make sure that you space them out and plan properly for it. And all you need to make sure is that the curl that's hanging down at the front, and then you can stab it into the upper part of the gnome. In any case, the hanging curl needs to be below his nose, but it doesn't matter if you stab it further up into his head, because we're going to put a hat on him, so whatever happens up there nobody will see later. And just stab the curls in around his face first, and do this all around. if you have curls that are sort of tangled up together and you want to separate them, don't tear them. Use the scissors and cut them, because if you tear, you're just gonna uncurl them, and they will be are really frizzy. If you've got really long curls like that, you could double them up and have them hanging down, like a doubled up curl here, and then felt them on. So that is another way of saving a bit of the curl and letting the natural curl hang down. Or of course you can cut them, so don't tear them, cut them shorter and then felt them on and use the other half somewhere else. So we always frown when people cut wool, but with curls it works best to cut them so that you don't have to tear them and then you lose the curly bits, which you don't want to lose. So I'm just adding the curls onto him now. Not corona, promise. And then I'm going to go around the outside as well. So you can make this slightly shorter, so he's got a slightly shorter hair or curly hair around the back. And we continue going around there. So if people have got any preference of time of the day, we've done now one at 10 in the morning, one at 2 in the afternoon. I haven't quite got a feeling for it yet, what is a good time for people to come and join us live. I think when it was 10 in the morning, somebody said, oh, that's way too early for me, I'm in the US, and I don't know, yeah, I don't know when I can do this. So they have to watch it later when it's not live, which is absolutely fine. Please share it with your friends that this is happening. I'm hoping that as of next week, when all the children are officially on half term, I don't know about you, but my children are having online lessons at the moment, which they absolutely love. They think it's hilarious that they can sort of like because they can mute themselves. They're using Zoom, which I think a lot of schools are using, and they can mute themselves, and my daughter says, I can eat crisps and nobody knows I'm doing it, or I can chew chewing gum and nobody knows. I can sit here with my PJs on. No, they were told not to do it in their PJs, but they're really loving it, and it's actually given them a whole new motivation to do their homework. I've never seen them work so hard. So every cloud has a silver lining, I suppose, even though we have to look hard for it right now. But I think definitely bringing a lot of the community spirit out in people. Unfortunately, it also brings other things out in people, but let's not talk about that. And we can only ever do what we can do for ourselves. It's really lovely actually, because it is a nice time of the year. Spring is when the birds are starting to be really active out and about. They're very vocal. You see all kinds of birds that have been hiding away in the winter. The lambs are out in the field. If you're lucky enough to live somewhere in the country, so you have access to these lovely miracles of nature. And we went for a walk yesterday to a quarry that's literally 5 minutes away from where we live, and there are dormice. It's a nature reserve for dormice and bats. Not that we saw any of them, but we did try and look, and it was just nice to imagine that somewhere there are some sleepy dormice hanging out at the moment. And even though we couldn't see them, but it made me think of Sophie, because Sophie likes dormice. And of course we have a dormouse kit as well, so if you need to make one, you certainly can. Here we go. So he's now got a decent shock of hair. I've actually kept it quite long on the back as well. It's probably how we're all gonna look at the end of this lockdown, because none of us can go to the hairdresser unless you can cut your own hair like I do. Or maybe you can cut each other's hair, but maybe sign a disclaimer before you do that. So all that leaves now is the hat, and the hat is quite easy to make, so he can watch his hat being made. Yes, my favorite time of the year as well, Diane, definitely. So why don't you do different times, then some people could watch live and everyone could get it later? Yeah, that's a really good idea. Somebody says the video has stopped. It hasn't stopped at my end, but it might be that you refresh it at your end. that's entirely possible, because I think everybody is on social media and on using the Wi-Fi. Everybody's watching something or the other. So maybe you can press the refresh button on your if you don't know how to do that, then all you need to do is just go into the top bar where it says youtube.com/watch whatever, and then sometimes you've got it on the right hand side, you've got a little squirrely thing that you can press and it refreshes it, or you just highlight that and then unhighlight it and press return, and then that should refresh it for you as well. The video keeps buffering today and I keep having to come out and go back in. Really sorry about this. I'm not entirely sure that this is from our end, or whether it is just because everything's really slow in your home with Wi-Fi problems and so on. But I will certainly address that and see if we can do anything about this. So I just thought I'll go back into the full face, just so you know I'm still here. I've got my little gnome ready to receive his hat. I've got this lovely green wool with a little cotton spots in it, our rainbow drops. We've also got it in white and in blue. I think that's all the colours, unless I've forgotten one, and no doubt Sophie will tell me. And I'm going to make a hat out of this. Now it's really important you do use wool butts for this, because I am using a good chunk here, and I think you can get away, for that size gnome, you get away with maybe 6 to 8 grams. So I'll lay the wool flat on the mat, and I'm going back into the close-up now so that you can see what I'm actually doing. So now I'm going to draw a hat on here, and I'm drawing the outline of a hat. So I've got the 2 pointy bits here, and then because it needs to fit a round head, you have to have a round base at the bottom, and I'm going to do that with my single needle. And yes, it definitely helps if you've got a nice large felting mat. Now I've got our earth mat here, which we love, and if you haven't got one yet, it's definitely worth investing into one. They absolutely last forever. We haven't found anybody yet who's worked their way through theirs. The top layer, as it comes in 2 parts, this one is 100% wool, so it's compostable, and the base layer, I can't actually ever see that it needs to be disposed of, but it's 70% wool and 30% man-made fibre, so you can't compost it, but you can definitely throw it away, and it's not causing too much damage. And I'm drawing the hat on here now. I don't know if it's easier if I hold it up, so I turn it around so you can see it the right way around. So this is the outline of the whole of the hat. And then all you're going to do is, I'll leave it that way so it's the right way around for you. I'll fold the outsides in where I've stabbed the line. I'm going by folding the outsides in, do that on the other side as well. So I'm now making that whole shape neat by making the outlines neat and folding them in, and then do that at the base here as well. And because I'm felting flat on a mat, I don't want to felt it too much. I just want to get the shape done. And it doesn't have to be a perfect shape, so that you don't need a template, just sort of roughly make that hat. It's about, I'd say it's about 2 hand widths at the base, and then obviously it comes up. And because I need to felt it all around, I'm just taking it off the mat. Should come off quite easily, especially if you're using the earth-friendly felting mat or earth mat, and then turn it round and felt it from the other side as well. So if you want to speed this up now, because you're going to want to make this literally a handmade felt, you can use the Prim needle felting tool or another multi tool that you've got, and just work on it a little bit faster. I'm still not too worried that the hat is not completely symmetrical. It really doesn't matter. What you will notice is I'm not stabbing these 2 outsides in too much, because these are the 2 sides that need to fuse together in a minute to make it a 3D hat rather than a flat open hat. And I can see these lovely colours are coming out. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, it might not be so visible. We're actually getting better light, so we're still investing in our technical equipment to give you the best experience. So I'm lifting it off again, turn it round, give it a few more stabs from that side now. And then I'm going to fold this together now. Oh, thank you, Diane, you like the earth mat. Makes a nicer stabbing sound too. That is true, actually. It doesn't sound quite so rasping. Oh, thank you. The much better video than the first. Well, that's reassuring. And now I'm going to fold this in. So I've got my round part here at the base, and now I'm going to fold it in and align the two sides on top of each other. And I'm literally felting these together now. So it's a little bit as if you're sewing them together. I'm felting them together to make a seam all the way up to the tip. And you could use your 3 needle tool to speed things up. At any point where you use more than one needle, it's usually about speed to get things done faster, especially if you're an impatient crafter like I am. I know we all have lots of time at our hand, perhaps some of you might not. But if you do, then I much rather make lots of things in the time I've got than make one thing that takes ages. It's just how I'm wired, I guess. And so then I do it on the other side as well. And yes, at the moment you've got sort of like a bit of a, I don't know what you call it. I can only think of the German word right now. But it's like a bulge there. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You can get rid of it by, you just have to watch your fingers, by stabbing into nothingness inside the hat here. And going along there, so you have to just make sure that your finger is actually just slightly behind where you're stabbing with a needle. But I'm literally stabbing into nothing inside the hat because it is a 3D shape now. And then at the top it doesn't matter too much if it's no longer 3D, because you can always tease it out again. So I'm keeping that tip 3D. So I've made a hat here now. It's a perfect hat, actually. Perfect little hat for Gnome. And he's very excited to receive it. So I'm going to put this on his head now, like that. And I've got to pull it down a little bit. Now, if the hat is slightly too big, you can just felt in the excess at the back and felt it down. If it's slightly too small, it might open the seam at the back. Then you can just lay a little bit more wool over the top and neaten that up. The main thing is that when you fit it on, that it fits over his face so that the nose is poking out and all the other white parts of his body are covered. And then all you're doing is you're stabbing the needle away from the edge so that you're felting the hat on, and it looks as if the hat is sort of slouched on top of his nose. And you can stab it on the head as well. I'm just going back to my nice needle here, and felt the hat onto the gnome's head, basically. And don't worry too much if it's a little bit unsightly at the back, because you can, so mine is not as neat as it is at the front. All you can do is just use a little bit of extra wool, lay it over here, felt it down, and neaten the outside or the edge by going slightly under that wool. It won't matter too much, I promise you. The main thing is that the hat slouches over the nose of the gnome, and you can still work on the shaping of the hat as well. And then if you want to neaten this edge here a little bit, you can stab into the hat by going underneath the nose like that and go all over again. And at the moment I've got if you're making a wizard perhaps with a straight beard, not a curly beard, then it's great to have a great big long hat. But if you want to make the hat slouched, you can do that too, and you can just stab into the hat so it becomes crinkled. Stab all over, and that will, with a few stabs, that should hold some of the crinkles in there. If you want to decorate the hat, like I did with this little chap here, he's got daisies on his hat, you can do that too. Just add a little bit of colour onto it by using a contrasting colour. Oh, we've got a bit of yellow there. Give it spots, add decorate the hat of the gnome and then crinkle it later if you want to, or keep it straight. You can put a little spots on it, or you can put flowers on it, you can put swirls onto it, whatever takes your fancy. Personalize your own little gnome, and perhaps he might be a nice little companion to somebody who is completely on their own at the moment. So that is just another idea of how you could make somebody's day by sending them a little creature. And like I said, it is a very special moment to have a little gnome seen in appear and be alive. So well done for that. So just catch up on some of the comments. I'm just going to go back into the big screen so you can all see me. I'm still here. Hello. And he looks a little bit like his big friend. The great thing with needle felting is that you can upscale things, so you can always make things bigger. It's not so complicated as in maybe when you're knitting or you're trying to sew and suddenly you have to use your brain and maths to try and make the right proportions so it still looks decent. With needle felting you can literally just up the quantities and make them bigger that way. Okay, so what else? What else have we got here? Alex, you've gone onto your iPad now. Perhaps I don't know how that works. Clever hat, yeah, it's a really clever hat. It's a really simple way of making a piece of 3D felt that you can then instead of sewing it or doing anything else with it, you can just needle felt it closed, and instantly you've got a hat. And he's still got his big nose with his nostrils. Nothing stopping you making his nose smaller, but just keep stabbing into it, especially if it's still a soft finish. So that is no problem at all. And I just thought I should also tell you that we will give you an opportunity. This little gnome is mainly made because on the last live stream you asked to have a gnome done. We have got lots of projects coming up. I can tell you already we have a one scheduled for the I think it's the 2nd of April, where we will be doing hearts and the heart garland. Some of you may have seen those heart garlands that we have done, and I think it's such a lovely thing to make a heart, because there's so many associations with heart, and we are supporting a charity called well, the charity is Dementia UK, but it's Grands on the Make who have made it their mission this year to have many hearts and forget-me-nots made, whether crocheted or knitted or needle felted. And unfortunately they have to completely rely on social media now as well, and to get in touch with their supporters. So I am delighted to help them out on that occasion as well. We would have normally been at a show at Craft for Crafters during that time, so that's another reason why we want to support you guys as much as we can, because we would have been running workshops. And the biggest excitement is that we usually take our pick and mix to, I'm just going to grab a couple of jars, I know they're here somewhere. Normally we rock up with these sweetie jars that are filled with wool, and there's sometimes 50 to 80 different jars on the tables, and what you can do is you can all do your pick and mix, and you can take little or lots and make your own color arrangements. But we're just working on a project that if you can't come to the pick and mix with the jars with the pick and mix will come to you. And the way we're doing this is it's going to be a random mix in a sweet jar that you can buy from us, but that's not going to be available until April, and we will let you know when, because we've just ordered a hell of a lot of sweet jars to fill for you. And it will be a little bit relying on your flexibility and on your trust that we pick the right colors for you, but at least we can bring a little bit of that colorful happiness into your home. So I think I'm coming to the end of this. Oh yes, most internet providers are struggling a bit to cope with increased demand of everyone being at home all day, and some have purposely throttled it back to help. Okay, so I can imagine everybody is trying to watch things live online or using the Wi-Fi. I imagine there's not many people who put a video in to watch, but everything's live at the moment. Of course, these little creatures, thank you for reminding me, Rachel, they're called tomte in Sweden or in Scandinavia, I love the story about the tomte because they are the little guardians of your small holding and your house. And if you look after them, especially at Christmas, if you feed them porridge, then they are definitely on your side. If you don't feed them porridge, beware, they play all kinds of tricks on you, and so you can get ready for Christmas and make your Christmas tomten as well, because now is a good time to get ready for Christmas. Why ever not? It's surely coming, and this is just temporary. Remember all of that. So if you enjoyed this, then share it with your friends. Let us know what you would like for next time to happen. I really have listened to you, and I think you want to make something flat. I've got lots of ideas. I'm putting my head together with Sophie as well. We want to bring to you all kinds of 3D, really simple projects, but also we have lots of ideas of flat needle felting. One of the want to do is how to embellish your garments and needle felt onto jumpers, onto accessories and so on. And there's so much you can do and spruce up some of your clothes. Maybe you can't go out and buy them, but you can certainly pretend that you've got something new by making them appear different and adding new things to it. So thank you so much for being part of this. And we'll see you again. The next live stream will be on Monday, and we'll try and do one every other day. If we can fit more in, we will do, but you will hear definitely from us once we're ready. So join our YouTube channel if you haven't done already, then you get notified when we're back on live. And we are here at the Makers headquarters. We're really busy packing the next Makers box, which is out in literally a few days. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the next project. You could be making a large fox like this, really easy to make, and he's snoozing his time away, just as you might have to snooze your time away at the moment, stuck at home. And if you haven't got our box yet, but you wanted to make something, you could be making two very realistic life-size chicks. And the special technique used there is a reverse needle to fluff them up like real little fluffy chicks. And then if a brand new box that we're releasing is coming out, you can start subscribing to it from the 1st of April, and then we send them out on the 7th of April, which is the fairy box, and there's a new one every month, so you can start your collection. We've of course also got our surprise subscription box, and you never quite know what you find in there, but I know that the April theme is called April Showers, and then I think in May we might have sweets in mind. So thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see you again. Have a lovely weekend, everybody. Try and hang in there. Remember, it's only temporary. Remember, we're all in the same boat, and just remember to breathe and do something nice for somebody else, because at the end of the day, that might make you happy, and then